things like that, but all the work, what you're hearing is their work. It is fantastic, the program that they have here. It's an interesting thing because I grew up in a school system very similar to this in Cincinnati, Ohio. And this is where it starts. This is where it starts. I know in places like Japan, it's mandatory that everyone play an instrument for like 2 years. And then after that, you can decide if you want to play it or not. But what they're thinking is like, it casts a net. And you're gonna catch some people that wouldn't naturally play an instrument. And having a group like this, having a district with a music program like this, it's appealing to the other kids, so it just draws more and more and more. So it just brings my heart such good pleasure to be here. And one of the other things is that I was telling them earlier today, or just before the concert, is that a lot of times we think of hierarchy when we think of music. Like, oh well, Beyonce is on a super high level, but I just play in a Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra, or wow, he's playing in LA Philharmonic, I'm just playing in the Rockport Symphony. But that's not what it's about. It's about the love of the music. It's about the love of the music. And I have been in those places like, LA Symphony, and seen some of the musicians there that don't love it. Some of them don't love it. So when you come here and you work with these guys and you feel the love of the music, that is the real stuff. That's the real stuff. So I am so happy to be here. We got we're gonna finish off the concert here with 3 more tunes. These are the big boys here. And gals. This is the big band here. And the first tune we're gonna do, oh, you wanna talk too? Okay, you should talk. Because you have done all this here. You talk now.
Can we give a round of applause for her? It has been such an honor to have Herb here for the day, to work with our students, and just to see him. You can tell from him right now how much he loves jazz and how much he has just in 2 hours of clinics working with our students has shared that love of jazz with them too. So hopefully they came home buzzing from their clinic today and that they continue with that for the rest of the year. There's a couple other thank yous I'd like to make. The first is our lights and sound, so can we give them a round of applause back here? We have a special guest on auxiliary percussion, Mr. Paul Gaspar, joining us tonight. Thank you, Mr. T. I'd like to thank our chaperones and administration that helped you come in and find your seats and hand you programs, so thank you to them. Our last thank you is to you. Thank you for being here, for supporting our jazz program, for understanding how important it is for our students to continue playing jazz and to foster their love for jazz. Because of our swing dance in January, if you attended, thank you. We were able to have this day. So just for being here, thank you. Round of applause for yourselves for supporting us. I want to share one more thing. If you're a senior, could you stand? If you're a senior, yeah. Senior back there, percussion too. Thank you very much. These guys were here when I first got here, and our program was 2 bands, barely. And these guys were in my first jazz band here in this building. They made it all the way to here, right now. You're about to hear some killer stuff. So thank you to them, bravo to them. All right, I think that's enough. Here's Groove Merchant.
there it is.
Yeah, there.
So the first tune we're going to do is a tune by Thad Jones called Groove Merchant. I love this tune. I played this tune in high school, and just many, many times I played this tune. And this tune I've been on a journey with this tune. When I first got it, I loved it. Then I played it a lot, then I hated it. Then I saw, and I was telling him about it, I saw a YouTube video of Thad Jones directing, the Thad Jones Band Lewis Band directing this piece. And it just, to see the life in his face of the composer who wrote it, directing the piece, brought the piece back to me. And it just so happened that Mrs. Cole, this is one of the tunes that they were working on. This is one of my very favorite Thad Jones tunes, Groove Merchant. talking about right there. Yeah, good. Very good. That was very good. Okay, now this song, The Chicken. Chicken. Not chicken nuggets. Chicken. And this song was a song that was made very popular by bassist Jaco Pastorius, a genius in the bass who actually changed the way bassists play and act today. He was a complete innovator of the bass, of the electric bass. And we get to hear our bassist tonight play some really good stuff on this. So here we go, The Chicken. chicken. Okay, so we've come to our final piece. I'm just so happy to be here, and I want to thank Mrs. Cole and Mr. Lindblom for having me here. It's been a fantastic time with just everyone. It's been fantastic. This last piece, Night in Tunisia, by Dizzy Gillespie. Dizzy Gillespie once told me a story that he was at a nightclub, and somebody was asking him about his mouthpiece. Like, what kind of trumpet mouthpiece do you use? What kind of trumpet mouthpiece do you use? He's like, man, get away from me, get away from me. So then after the gig, he left his trumpet on the stand, and when he came, he probably went to get a drink or something or whatever, then came back and his mouthpiece was gone. The guy took his mouthpiece. So then I think this is years later, 20 years later or something, he's at a gig, and a guy comes up to him and says, Mr. Gillespie, 15 blah blah years ago, I was asking you about your mouthpiece, and I took your mouthpiece, and I want to give you your mouthpiece back now. And Dizzy Gillespie took the mouthpiece and was like, get out of here! They threw the mouthpiece out. He said, that mouthpiece is so old, I can't even play that mouthpiece anymore. So he took the mouthpiece and threw it at the guy and hit him. It doesn't have anything to do with Tunisia, but it does have to do with Dizzy Gillespie. I'm not sure why I told that story, but it just felt like the right thing to do at the moment. But this is a great arrangement of Night Tunisia. It's a different type of arrangement of Night Tunisia. And here it is, Night Tunisia.
Smith, ladies and gentlemen. And all of our performers, could we get the house lights up so the two bands over there we can recognize everybody tonight. Thank you very much once again, guys. And hey, we'll see you again for our next series of concerts at the end of May and June. So have a great evening. And
Jazz Fest, June 23rd. This group will be on the stage.
thanks once again. Have a great night.